All right, guys, welcome back to the channel Make Money Trucking. So today we unfortunately are going to be doing a pretty big job, and that is going to be replacing the fuel injectors on the DD15 here. It's a little bit later. I'm going to add some lights so you guys can kind of see a little better. So basically, first I took off the air cleaner. It's basically a couple bolts, and then there's some metal manifolds that sit on top of these right here, sit on top of the valve cover. And then just took the air box off, and then I'll show you the injectors over here. So I have got 6 new injectors. This is what they look like, and so I'll be pulling that cover off and then taking the injectors off one by one. All right, guys, so here are the injectors, 1, 2, and 3. I'll kind of tell you what happened to the truck. So I would be driving the truck, and then a check engine light would come on, and I'll put the check engine light on the screen right now to show you what check engine light I was getting, and it was referring to injector number 2. The truck would run like crap, and I would lose about 20% of my power, and then I would drive it and I'd shut it off and turn it back on, and it would be fine, like nothing's happened. So we basically got a diagnostic form from Detroit, printed that out, and ruled it down to the injector. We took the head off, and also here is the injector harness, this black thing on top here. So we tested that from the outside of the head, and that tested bad for the interior. So we're hoping it was just one of these injector harnesses like this right here, because they do get brittle and break, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So it ended up being injector number 2. Now, if you can see this, these are copper top injectors. They're real brittle, and Detroit actually doesn't use them anymore. And anybody that does work on any of these that sees these injectors has told me that if air gets in the system, they drop really fast and really easily. So if you crack open this fuel system, which we're gonna have to crack open this fuel line, I'm probably gonna drop some injectors, being that these are copper tops. So we're just gonna go ahead and replace all of them, because I know injector number 2 is definitely bad. I don't want to have to replace number 2 and then come back and replace the rest of them, because they simultaneously start to drop. Truck has almost 550,000 miles on it, so I don't know what the life is, but you know, anything under 500,000 miles, these kind of things start to pop up. So might as well just get it done and do the job the right way. So we're going to start by cracking some of the we're going to start front to back, and I might do a time lapse, and also we need to get this injector harness off, so I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, guys, so these injector bolts out to get to the injectors, which are right there. We kind of bought this tool off Amazon. Works really good. I'll put a link to it below. There's more expensive ones made by Snap-on, but this one actually does a good job. And how it works is, I'll show you here. Basically, you can slide it over the line, and it goes in there, and then you can loosen the fuel injector, and then you gotta slide it back out and turn it back around. Yeah, we'll get to removing this first one, and then I'll show you time lapse of doing all of them. All right, so we got the fuel pipe and fuel injector line pulled off, and that's what it looks like with it pulled out, and we'll undo that seal. But yeah, you just pop this guy out, and then that'll give us access to the injector, and we will pull the injector out next. All right, guys, so up here we have the fuel injector, and then there's that line that's pulled off right there. And this bolt is a 12 point, and it is a 10 millimeter. So let's take our wrench and then just unbolt this guy. So I'll unbolt it, or unscrew this bolt. And then I have a little tool that I use to pop the actual injector out, because it will be kind of stuck in the head. All right, so this tool here is what I use to pop the injectors out of the actual head. You can buy this at Harbor Freight, and luckily I found this guy but I think I got it at Harbor Freight. Basically just go in here and you know, kind of get up on the bottom of that injector. All right guys, so we got the injector out, and basically I'll set this down so I can show you. Basically take this little pigeon foot, I think is what they call it, and you basically hook it right there. You can see that right there, and pop it out, and then this bracket will come with it, and then you pull that bracket out when you put the other one in, just get it lined up. And then here's that you know, it's not really a rocker arm, but kind of rocker arm piece. It goes like around the injector right here in this recess right here, so it sits like that. So we'll put it down in the hole together and try to keep it lined up, because the injector bolt goes through this hole right here. And then I'm gonna put some oil on this O-ring, both these O-rings right here, just for good measure, and this one right here probably doesn't need it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. All right, so we got the new injector in, got that bolt just finger tight, got that rocker arm little deal in there, and then so that's what it looks like put back in. And then we'll just tighten that down to 15 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. Check with your local shop to see if that's the torque spec, but that's what they gave me, so that's what we'll do. And then we'll do the rest, the 5 left. All right, to get to the back injector, we've got to take off this line right here, and unbolt right there and right there to get to the back. This is the fuel line for the back injector, so we have to take off that line. And so far we got all the other ones done, just this one left to go right there. All right, so we're back. We've got all 6 new injectors in. We've got all the fuel lines plugged back into the fuel rail. We had to undo this fuel line right here to get to the last fuel line on the number 6. So we got all this buttoned back up, and then now we're going to put the injector harness on the top. There's 2 of them, one for the back and one for the front, and we'll connect that. And then I'm just gonna really quickly look through here, make sure I don't see any metal or debris. The old injector harness usually falls apart when you disconnect it. So like, there's actually a piece of plastic right there we'll get that out of there. And then there's one right there. I'm not too worried about the plastic, but there was little metal pieces that fell down. I already pulled a lot of them out, just so we don't have any interference or nothing hits anything. Alright guys, so we got all the bolts on the valve cover, and we're just going to snug them all up, and then we'll start getting the brackets put on there on the back, and then the one on the middle, and then the one on the front. Alright, so we got the first plate, second plate, and third plate on, and now we're going to put the air box on. Alright, so we got the air box back on, got all the bolts tightened up, and now we're going to get this thing primed so we can prime all the injectors and hopefully get this thing to fire up. Alright guys, so I came up with a way to potentially prime this motor. I'm going to take my other truck, and we have these fuel shorts right here. They're for priming the system. So what I did is I bought 2 of these fittings. I'll put a link on the screen to show you where to get those at. You can get them at Kenworth or Peterbilt. These are Cummins CompuCheck fittings, what they call them. And I just went to my local hose and fitting shop and bought this. It's like 150 PSI rated all-purpose hose, and have them connected to these 2 fittings. I'm going to connect one side to that truck, and then the other side to this truck, and hopefully the fuel pressure from that truck will go over and prime this truck to allow it to start. So we're going to try it, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Alright, so I got them connected. Alright, so I got them connected. This one to the truck that needs primed, and this one to the truck that's running. As you can see, we're going to give it about maybe a couple minutes, and I'm going to try to fire this truck up and see what happens, see if this actually works. This will be awesome if this works. I should have got a lot longer line. I thought that was 8 feet would be long enough, but I guess not. I guess I should have got 10 feet, but that's alright. We can get close enough here, and we'll wait a couple minutes and then if she primes up and fires up. Alright, so a good sign. I just tried to pump this thing down, and it is very stiff. So I think that just from that couple of seconds of it being on there, it's probably about a minute or so that I was talking to you guys, I think it's already primed. So this is stiff as can be. So I'm going to disconnect it, and then hopefully it'll fire up. I don't know if I should fire it up with it started, with the line still connected. I think I'm going to disconnect it, try to fire it up and see what happens. Alright, so we're going to turn the power on to the truck. Turn signals on. We're going to see if this priming trick actually worked. It's nighttime, hopefully you guys will see alright, but so we primed it up. We're going to turn it on and then see if it'll crank over. She's trying. And she fired right up. Wow, that worked fantastically. Buying that line and doing that. Let's go check and see what. Everything looks good. I don't see any excessive leaks yet. Hope I never do. I'll go ahead and disconnect this line. So far so good. Start right up, that's awesome. Let's see him run for a second. Make sure we ain't got no issues.